We will hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to help fight against this threat to our democracy. And if you profit off of hate, if you act as a megaphone for misinformation or cyber warfare, if you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
Happy holidays, everyone. I wanted to take a moment to send my warmest wishes to everyone celebrating Kwanzaa. Like so many other holidays, we will be celebrating Kwanzaa a little differently this season in our home. We'll be doing it over Zoom. You know, my sister and I, we grew up celebrating Kwanzaa. Every year, our family, and our extended family, we would gather around across multiple generations.
What?
Across multiple generations. Across multiple generations. And we tell stories. The kids would sit on the carpet and the elders would sit in chairs. And we would light the candles. And, of course, afterwards.
Meantime, the election countdown is on, and a number of down-ballot candidates appear to be dodging the vice president. Some vulnerable members of her party are even drawing connections with former President Trump in some new ads. Let's bring in Pete Seat. He is a GOP strategist. Pete, they say politics makes strange bedfellows, and that's happening in places like Pennsylvania, where Bob Casey, the Democrat Senate candidate, is tying himself to Donald Trump.
Yeah, Bob Casey is doing it in Pennsylvania. Sherrod Brown is doing it in Ohio. Tammy Baldwin is doing it in Wisconsin. Two of those, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, obviously critically important states to both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump in getting to 270 electoral college votes. But what's so interesting to me about this is the issues that they're focused on in these ads. Bob Casey is talking about trade, Tammy Baldwin about Made in America, Sherrod Brown about immigration and the border. They could run ads on just the issues themselves, but instead they decide to invoke Donald Trump, use images of Donald Trump in these ads. They are breaking up with Kamala Harris and flirting with Donald Trump because their political prospects depend on it.
So in a state like Pennsylvania, where Trump seems to be edging out Kamala Harris, I don't know if you want to call it easily, but he seems to have the lead there. A guy like Bob Casey figures it's not going to hurt him to tie himself to Donald Trump?
Well, if he's looking at internal polls that show that Donald Trump is starting to get a healthy lead in that state and Kamala Harris is starting to fall behind, yeah, he is going to put himself first and forget about Kamala Harris. Think back to June and July, right after the first presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, when a lot of Senate Democrat incumbents, Sherrod Brown being one, John Tester in Montana being another, started to distance themselves from Joe Biden. They did not want him to weigh down their chances at re-election. What happened? Joe Biden ended up dropping out of that race. Here we are now, a fortnight and a couple days away from Election Day, and vulnerable Senate Democrats are starting to do the same with Kamala Harris. What does that portend for her campaign? Nothing good.
Yeah, well, what about the coattails of Kamala Harris, though? I mean, you know, it would seem that a sitting vice president would have some.
You would think so. But I think it's clear that Donald Trump has coattails and Kamala Harris does not. Look, this has never been about Kamala Harris since she has been the Democratic Party nominee. This is all about Kamala Harris not being Joe Biden and not being Donald Trump. That is what her campaign is based on. That is the foundation of her effort. Watch the interview with Bret Baier just a couple of nights ago on this very network. She couldn't even talk about what her own policy stances were because she doesn't have any. She doesn't actually have a vision for the future. All she had was attacks and negativity towards the former president, because that's her entire campaign is, I'm not Donald Trump.
So let's go back to Pennsylvania. And I just find this fascinating because, you know, an incumbent Democratic senator from Pennsylvania is invoking and even using Donald Trump's image in his ads. What does that do for or maybe against David McCormick, the Republican candidate in that race?
Well, look, Bob Casey is also doing this because he's fashioned himself as a moderate, as a centrist throughout his political career, but he has been in lockstep with the unabashedly liberal Biden-Harris agenda. He, in fact, has voted with them not 80% of the time, not 90% of the time, but 98% of the time. Bob Casey has been with Biden-Harris. So he needs to do something to pretend that he is a little closer to the middle. And that something is putting Donald Trump in his ads, which, look, he's now put a target on him. Donald Trump is going to take note. The Trump campaign already has. They've been blasting out emails about these particular ads. And you can bet that Trump is going to put his sights on Bob Casey and the others. It's going to backfire on them.
The Senate is, you know, very much up for grabs, but Republicans are feeling that they have a pretty good chance to make, well, to get control of the Senate. Are there other states in which Democrat candidates are tying themselves to Donald Trump or trying to?
Yeah, so Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin, as I said, Sherrod Brown in Ohio, Alyssa Slotkin, who's a member of Congress, a House member right now in Michigan, is the Democrat nominee. She's doing it as well. And, you know, the most dangerous thing a political prognosticator can do is get ahead of themselves. And in this case, that's getting ahead of polls, because the polls of today are not necessarily the results of tomorrow. Anything can happen, but this is something we need to pay attention to, that Democrats are trying to tie themselves to Donald Trump. And keep in mind, too, this is not just about the majority in the Senate, which Republicans have a very, very high probability of capturing, but this could also determine which members win and end up in the caucus, could determine who replaces Mitch McConnell as majority leader. You get more Republican senators to win. That's a larger voting pool of senators in the caucus. And these folks who were not necessarily expected to win could be the decision makers in that race.
All right, Pete Seat, Republican strategist.
Just move to the stuff that went viral with you, Lord Jamal. This is your stuff about Kamala Harris, which, are you surprised about the amount of pickup that got?
Not really, because I think people are a little shocked that someone that they feel is pro-black, why would I come out in support of Donald Trump or go against a Kamala Harris who they are trying to put up as a black woman, and I don't see it.
Well, let me. I'm going to play first of all the Barack Obama clip, and then I'm going to play the clip that you said in response to it. Let's play the two.
And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that, because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly now, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that.
And now I want to play the clip from Lord Jamar talking about that.
Well, I feel that she's so bad that guess what? I might just go around and vote for Trump. And this is my first time saying this out loud. But y'all think you're going to shame somebody or bully into voting for this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And now you're going to make me be Mr. Anti. You keep coming at me with this bullshit. You keep coming at me talking about, oh, it's a shame that you're not supporting a black woman. She's not black.
Now, Mark, you know, let me ask you honestly, Mark, if this had been the other way round, if this had been... hang on, Jamal, Lord Jamal, I'll come to you in a sec. I just want to get their reaction to what we've just played, because it's gone viral, as I said. But, Mark, you know, if it had been the other way round, if you had a former white president saying you've got to vote for Trump if you're white, you'd have gone absolutely nuts. So why is it okay for Barack Obama to order black people to vote for Kamala Harris, given how unpopular she currently is, to the extent where Trump is ahead in 5 of the 7 swing states? Why should they?
So, a couple of things. First, no one should vote for anybody based on identity politics. You should never vote for somebody because
so Obama's
they're
wrong.
Black. Yeah, Obama's wrong. I mean, I didn't vote for him.
I love that.
Oh, Obama's wrong. Yeah, Obama's wrong. Yeah, so...
we all agree.
But no, we don't all agree, though, because I don't think, though... I think Obama's wrong for several reasons in that video, but Obama's not arguing that you should vote for Kamala Harris because she's black. He's arguing you should vote for them because you're black. In other words, she best represents your interests. If I were running right, and if I'm a Green Party member, right?
That's not what he was
I haven't
saying.
Voted Democrat.
He was playing the race card. He was playing a skin color card. He was saying if you are black, you have a duty to vote for the black candidate.
Yes.
You don't.
Listen,
as Lord Jamal rightly said in his
saying.
Furious rant about it, why?
Why
should he be told who to vote for?
Again, you just said I'm bringing in the race card when the question you asked me was, should Obama be telling people to vote for people because they're black?
I said Obama played the race card, not you. I said Obama did.
Oh, then I misheard you. I apologize. Yeah. I apologize. I misheard you. I'm wrong. You're right. So to the point, Obama is saying that black people, again, I disagree with him, but let's disagree with him for the right reason. He's saying that as black people, vote your interest. Don't reject this person. As a black person, you should vote for the person that uplifts the black community. That's her. And don't let your patriarchy, don't let your hatred of women, don't let your this make you not do it. My issue with it is it frames black people and black men in particular as pathological and people who act against their interests and acts as if black men don't. Also, it's ahistorical. Black men actually do vote Democrat. I argue more than they should. So I think it's wrong for lots of reasons. I disagree with Jamar, though, my brother. Calling her, and again, I heard a bleep. I've been in the hood a long time. From that context, it sounded like you were calling her the B word. I couldn't see it, but I heard it. I'm not going to vote for that. Bleep sounded like the B word. I can't imagine a circumstance where we need to call her that.
First of all, the platform I was on was a different kind of platform. It's more hip-hop orientated, and if she wants to get down, act like she's black, well...
She is black, man. She is black. That's the other piece. I don't want to interrupt Candace. I know Candace got stuff to say.
You had a guest on named VJ or something that said I never voted or something like that. I don't know where he pulled that out his ass from, but yes, I have voted before. I actually voted for Obama the first time around. I got caught in that nonsense. Listen, Barry, you're not our father. You're not going to shake the finger of condemnation at us and think that you're going to shame us into doing what you want. We're not, you know, we're waking up as black people right now, and we're thinking for ourselves, and we're not just going along with the Democratic Party. First of all, I'm a registered independent, so don't act like I'm waving the Republican flag. But when it comes to leadership and all this type of thing, I don't see why we're trying to give this woman a promotion. She had one job, which was the border. She failed at that. They kept her in the background this whole time. I saw what they were going to do with her from the beginning, and I don't feel that she's the one.
That you should judge according to your skin color and feel a duty, a compulsion to do so, seems to me to be racist.
It is fundamentally racist, and it's something that I think black people are right to be upset about. And then there's also this. You are correct to say that there's nothing about Kamala Harris or Barack Obama, for being frank, that is black. I covered this on my show yesterday, went through Barack Obama's history. There is something that is very cartoonish about them working to blackify a politician before they run for office. And what I mean by that is, like, Barry Soetoro, first 8 years of his life grew up in Indonesia. Okay. Then he was with his white mother and his Indonesian stepfather. He then went to Hawaii, which had a population of just 5,000 black people. 86% of them were in the military, and attended a school that is $31,000 per year. And it was all white people. He was raised by his white grandparents, the Dunnans. He's never lied about this, by the way. He then went off off to college and had a white dorm mate, dated a white woman. There's nothing about Barack Obama's history that gives him, in my viewpoint, like the stepping ground to be talking to the brothers about the Black American experience. To me, it feels like they're both wearing blackface. I can't sort through all of Kamala's various accents. There's so many of them. She's in front of a Latina crowd. Suddenly she's Selena, you know, and she's speaking like a Latina. And then she's in front of a Jamaican crowd and she's dropping mon. You know, I can't deal with it. It is way too much Hollywood acting for me. Then she's got the black scent going and girl, what are you talking about? She's in front of a white crowd. She's speaking like a California Valley girl. I don't trust it. Yeah, I just do not trust somebody that slips that quickly through so many personalities. There is nothing about her upbringing, extraordinarily wealthy. Just she was sworn in Congress as an Indian American. Her mother is Indian. She grew up with an Indian experience and was proud of that until she ran for office for president of the United States. And that is something that I am not comfortable with. I do not accept this narrative that she should be speaking about herself as a Black woman. It's not okay, and I fully reject it.
Okay.
The blackness point is what's crazy here to me, right? First of all, the idea that she puts on, they're not personalities, they're codes, and black people code switch from place to place. Wait till you hear me talk to my accountant later. Wait till you hear me talk to my agent later, like, yo, why'd you put me on Pierce? Just kidding. Wait till I talk to the people at the local soul food spot. They all gonna be different. Wait till I say peace to the gods and earths in New York. It's gonna be a different conversation. Black people talk differently. When someone says that's my aunt, they're not lying because they don't have shared blood. Black people call people auntie. That's fictive kinship. That is blackness. Going to Howard is a black experience. Pledging AKA is a black experience. And lastly, Jamar, for somebody who is a 5%er who believes that, and I respect your belief, but to believe that the black man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the father of the civilization, the God of the universe, who came from North America by himself from Saudi Arabia, you believe that person is black, but somebody who went to Howard ain't? Come on, bruh.
Okay, I'm going to leave the final word to Candace before we have to end. Candace, what's going to happen on November the 5th?
Well, since code switching is normal in the black community, Piers, I'm going to speak to you like this because this would be totally normal if I put on a UK accent. And it's been lovely
I know where you get that from because you're married to a Brit.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait to run for president and just put on a different accent every time I speak to someone else.
Am I black or white? You tell me.